It also helps us manage claims. So if someone trips and falls and has some personal injury, it helps us defend those claims through proof of due diligence of when we've last been there, if we know about it, and when and how, where it's in the queue. This goes a long ways to managing those claims. Very similarly, the road inspections, we've got a similar kind of process. What's very different here is the analytics here. The analytics are much more sophisticated. Not only does it match the thresholds on severity and defect, takes into account the traffic volumes on those roads, the speed limits on those roads, and it identifies defects not only in terms of when they need to, or what needs to be done versus what doesn't need to be done, but also prioritizes them and puts on minimum and thresholds of when they must be completed by. So it has embedded levels of service, and based on routing and areas, it will provide an efficient list to various different crews on different days to make sure that all the issues are being dealt with and at a certain level of service. So this is a tremendous improvement on how things were done before, and is starting to show very nicely in the effect of our roads, along with a lot of the road resurfacing we've been doing as well. So it allows us to maintain a high level of service on our roads. Again, that goes back and it helps us manage those metrics. The other, and it gives us that condition. These pothole defects is a dynamic input into our road needs program. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Very similarly, the pipeline condition assessments. As I mentioned, it's the same kind of process. Difference, what we do here is this is all automated with electronic data transfers and processing. That condition, and we also get video records, photographic records, and digital data. That automatically goes into our computer systems and is displayed online real time. So anyone in operations or engineering need to look up about a complaint about a particular pipe, we can call it up, look when the inspection was done, call up the video. And we can see exactly what's going on in the conditions at that point in time. Most other processes, they have to go to some room, some library, look up a DVD, try to find it in a library of thousands of DVDs, pull it out, put the thing in, and then try to figure out which video file it is or scroll through it. That's an incredible amount of time to research an issue versus what we have now online. These conditions drive two things, both capital needs, maintenance needs, and priority repairs. And again, there's our same cycle. The integrated capital plan, just briefly, this is an approach. Many municipalities, their traditional approach was to look at your roads conditions and then put together a roads resurfacing program, roads reconstruction program. A different division would look at their water needs and look at where they need water systems replacements. Another group would look at the sanitary systems. Another group storm. It used to be all done independently, and then it would all go into a pot, and then based on budgets, they'd all be kind of consolidated. While that process worked, it became a very difficult juggling act. Our approach takes a look at all of the conditions of all the assets in the same physical space. So we know that this block of road has all these assets underneath it. And we know the age, the condition, we know all the details about those pipes. We know the public complaints that may have come online from that location. We have the operation and maintenance logs. If we see a high rate of logs here, we know that our costs are exceeding what's reasonable in these locations. We know the condition of those based on our video inspections and other sources. And we also know master plans in terms of overall citywide what things need to be done. And of course, the overall arching is the official plan. If we know this area is in an area of growth, there may need to be some improvements on upgrading of capacity. All of these inputs determine all of these things together, but they are all consolidated and collectively put together. Through interesting set of analysis that Yogesh has evolved, we are able to now take into account not only all of these needs, but we're also able to incorporate all the regional activities that happen. We have regional roads with some regional infrastructure, but a lot of our infrastructure is under regional roads and vice versa, as well as utility programs. And then it goes through our budget funding constraints, and at the end of the day, that's what we look at in terms of our capital plan. This is a process that is, again, been evolving, and incrementally every year we've been improving, and this year we will have a giant leap forward from prior years. We will have much more, a much longer term perspective of specifically what projects will be taken over the next few years with the funding available to us today. And a lot of that is reflected on that map behind Linda. Just a visual of this. So this is just a visual representation of the process that takes in place in behind. So we have the roads, we have all these different symbols represent different kinds of issues. Where these issues converge, we can then say, you know what, here, there's a lot of issues that converge on this area. So this now becomes a higher priority than some of the others. We take into account the severity and the risk of those things, and along with those, and then that's what comes out of these capital programs. So this is a quick visual of the fairly advanced technology and the processes that take place in the background. A quick example of some of our technology. This is what our source information is. As-built drawings, physical engineering drawings, very large stacks. There are probably somewhere in the order of, what, 10,000 of these, Yogesh? Yeah. Something in that order, which was the only record of what infrastructure we had in the past. All that information was transcribed into the computer systems, along with all the field data and knowledge and field validations to come up with our consolidated inventory, which is now available. This is an example of that zoom camera technology. That goes into the pipe, inspects the manhole, and identifies very quickly anything within sight. It's a very quick assessment and very effective. Allows us to inspect culverts and things like that without actually going inside these things. This is an example of a robotic CCTV inspection of a pipe. It's a little more advanced version of this. This is a fairly simplistic one. This is a real heavy-duty one, capable of going several kilometers down pipes, fully submerged in sewage, taking gas readings, radar, all kinds of things. Very sophisticated. There's not many of these in the country. I think last time we looked, there was about 5 operating in the country. It takes about 8 months to get on schedule to get these things in place. This is Dan. Dan, one of our road patrol guys. He's been fantastic. Dan was not a computer user at all. Over time, and actually the learning curve wasn't bad. He really took to this like fish to water. He's quite happy with it. Example of a computer tablet in this truck, and every day he's driving the roads. Not only is he driving the roads, it's not a random driving of roads. The technology, or the methods we've set up, the system tells him on the map, color codes, these are the roads that you need to inspect today because this is the schedule. You were this particular road based on the traffic volumes and speed limits. It needs to be inspected every 7 days. It's now due. That other one next to it doesn't need to be inspected for 14 days, so that one can sit for a while. So it's very dynamic. It knows the last time he was inspected, and it tells him today what he needs to inspect. Also tells him what's due tomorrow, so if he happens to be in there, he covers it. So it's quite sophisticated. And Jesse on our bike. And there we have it.